You to the show. All right, and we're
Sure.
live. Cool. John Mackechnie, welcome to Coffee and Conversations with Champions. Thank you for agreeing to chat to us so quickly. I don't know, how much bullying did your wife do? Or was it, I mean, we actually had spoken before, so it was kind of cool.
Yeah, I was coerced into it.
Yeah, 100%. Well, we're very grateful that you were. So we had a great chat just before we went live on air and going to be chatting about arm wrestling. I'm learning a great deal about this amazing sport. I think just before we started, we were chatting about endurance. And I think once we get your intro done, then we can go on to that endurance side because I don't think it's something that people realize is happening in arm wrestling. So, can you give us a little bit of a background as to who John is and how did you get involved in the sport of arm wrestling?
I've been involved in strength sports for years. I did powerlifting literally at the end of school. I was
Sweet.
under Rodney Anthony there at St. Stithians.
The coach.
Um, yeah, I
Yep.
competed for years under Rodney in SAPF. Then I took a bit of a break away, and then I came back and I competed in RPC.
Hmm.
Won a couple of national championships. Had the deadlift record under 100, under 110. Um, and then that was sort of the tail end of my varsity career. And then I transitioned over ultimately to arm wrestling, which I sort
Hmm.
of took up during COVID about 5 odd years ago. And yeah, I haven't looked back. I'm also multiple national champion in arm wrestling, and I've competed a couple times overseas. And yeah, I'm loving it too.
Absolutely phenomenal. What made you move into arm wrestling? Is it just something that you found? Is it something that had always interested you?
Yeah, I'd always been interested in arm wrestling.
Mm.
And any strength sport always fascinated me. I think I speak for a lot of people in the strength sport fraternity that a lot of us got into it via strongman,
Mm-hmm.
the ESPN airing of strongman, like watching the likes of Maurice Pudzianowski and Magnus Samuelson and co.
Yeah.
I think that inspired a whole generation of strength sport athletes. Um, and yeah, arm wrestling was sort of always there on the internet. Obviously, the earlier days with the likes of Brezink and Larrett and a whole bunch of other characters. Um, but it always interested me because it's quite a unique strength sport because it has a combat element to it, which is quite unique. Whereas all of the other strength
Mm.
sports pretty much are you versus the weights going for time or amount against an opponent, which is quite different to you gripping up with another person. And they're putting dynamic force back into you, which is quite massively different to just fighting gravity or lifting something.
There's like on a deadlift, there's no just keeping tension and trying to keep pulling. The weight's not trying to pull you down to the ground
Yeah,
with a
the
variation in
weight's not
load.
trying to slam my hand
Yeah,
into the pad. It just wants to go down. It's just gravity essentially,
that's it. There's no.
which obviously makes arm wrestling a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That combat component makes it a lot of fun. It is very unique in that component, which I love.
Mm.
I think that's the funnest part. It's you versus another person.
And yet you can still progress in the sport based on I think with powerlifting and with the other strength sports, the progress can be quite linear. I wanted to chat out what's
Yeah,
the progression like in arm wrestling?
yeah. Arm wrestling's it's a heck of a tough sport to stay in. There's a lot of pain that you have to go through,
Hmm.
a lot of tendon pain, a lot of muscle pain. There's very few guys who actually stick the course through the years. Many guys get into it and are interested and are pretty good, but
Mm.
I think when they come to terms with the amount of training and pain that you have to endure, a lot of them fade out. Also, the competition aspect is quite daunting. You can get humbled quite quickly. Even if you're a really strong guy, you can get bulldozed by someone who's got a lot of technique and is really quick.
Mm.
So it is incredibly humbling in that regard. You can get someone who's miles stronger than the other gent, but he just doesn't know how to apply his force dynamically,
Hmm.
quickly, and apply leverage, and he'll get flattened by someone who's no even near his strength. So it's incredibly humbling in that regard. So the progress, yeah, it's certainly not linear. I think competing bridges a gap there. I
Mm-hmm.
always drill into my guys in my club that they must compete. You learn your hardest lessons on a competition table. Practice, losing in practice or whatever, learning something in practice, yeah, it's significant, but it doesn't have the same like degree of emphasis and pain
Mm-hmm.
learning something on a competition table. You feel it, you remember it, it seeps into your subconscious. You won't forget that. I mean, a practice pin is very different to a competition pin.
Right.
So you have to pay your dues.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do, the progress will be there. It may not be linear. It may take some time. You may hit a lot of plateaus, but you will climb if you pay your dues.
And just being consistent with the training and with the commitment to
Yeah,
competition.
try at least one table time practice a week
Yeah.
and a lot of recovery stuff and weights to get strong.
I know we mentioned Rodney earlier, and one of the things listening to Coach, that's where I started my powerlifting journey. Also at St. Stithians, great gym, great. What
Mm.
a what a venue! I mean, what a beautiful location
Yeah,
to
it was
train in.
fantastic. I enjoyed those years
Yeah, very very
a
cool.
lot. Great fondness. There
100%.
with Dan,
Yeah, he's still there.
Henk,
Yep.
and that whole crew.
That whole those Sunday mornings when everyone came through to train were very very special.
No,
With
they
the
were.
yeah,
It was a really good time. That
that's a watching.
walking across that field with
Yeah.
in winter with the crispy grass there.
A little bit fresh. You had to do a little
Yeah,
bit
it
of
was
an
fresh
extra
there.
warm up,
Yeah,
huh?
it was nippy at that in that gym, man.
100%. There's two things I wanted to touch on based on what you've mentioned with regards to powerlifting. Sometimes, and when you're coaching, you face a challenge with some of the athletes that say, "When I can win, I'll get on the platform," or "When I can total X, I'll get on the platform." And
Plenty.
yeah, Rodney's was always about whatever competition was around, he would go to get in that platform time and that experience. So within arm wrestling, if you're coming with an attitude like that, you're never going to win. You're never going to last. The
No, completely.
Yeah, how do you convince your athletes to get onto the platform as quickly as possible? And also, how do you ensure that they're safe? Can you pick who they're going up against? Are there different classes?
I certainly, as soon as anyone's got a degree of competence, having attended a decent amount of practice
Mm-hmm.
sessions and they've been learned the fundamentals and how to set up properly the competition format, I always encourage them to go to a comp just to bridge that gap of knowledge and to learn a few things and also to feel different hands.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it is all dictated by weight, same as powerlifting. The powerlifting classes don't directly correlate with the arm wrestling
Mm-hmm.
classes. They're a bit different, but they're fairly similar. Um, so you will be going against a person who's basically your size. Um, you often, yeah, especially if you're a beginner, you probably won't know your opponent
Mm.
because they'll be coming from another club, from another region. Um, but that's where you learn, and that's how you progress. But yeah, I really do encourage everyone in my club to compete. It's hard to compete some people, and as you certainly mentioned,
Mm.
there's a lot of guys who only want to compete if they win.
Yeah.
I think the degree of ego um, needs to be squashed, and you need to risk losing
Mm.
and being humiliated. I guess losing is a degree of humiliation, I guess. Not that it should be taken that way, but there's a degree of humiliation, especially when you contrast it with ego and
Mm-hmm.
the upside and the counter to that. It's not nice losing. That's why a lot of guys don't want to compete, especially the bigger, stronger guys who maybe have been a gym guy for many a year and have dabbled in arm wrestling. They're scared to compete because they don't want the ego to take a battering.
I think that's something that's a little bit special within powerlifting, where I think losing is your biggest driving factor, and that's why you sometimes have the guys that you're competing against cheering for you. But I think
Yeah,
the combat element that you spoke of changes this completely, because coming from a martial arts background myself, and seeing big guys
Mm.
coming into comp, guys who believe, whether it's actually in competition or just coming to train with you, and there might be a bit of a challenge or an ego or an attitude on the mat. And when guys are getting a result that shocks them in terms of realizing where their skill level lies and their ability lies, a lot of them don't come back. Have you found an element of that within arm wrestling sometimes, where
100%.
guys
So I'll
compete
tell
and
you
then
a
yeah,
litany of names of guys who've not stuck past, I'd
mm,
say, 10 practices.
right,
I mean, and talented guys as well. If they'd been here now, that would be really good. That just they maybe did a comp, took a couple of losses, and yeah, that was it.
sure,
Guys also suffering with the pains and stuff that
mm,
come with arm wrestling. I don't care who you are and how tough you are, especially early on. You're going to deal with a lot of elbow pain, wrist
yeah,
pain, shoulder pain.
yeah,
It's just unfortunately arm wrestling is it's
yeah,
a very unnatural thing.
mm.
It's a lot of force through the arm,
Just and a lot of
and
force in those. But listen, I don't. From what I saw, it's a full body sport because there's
no, it is.
complete
The more of your
commitment.
musculature you can apply and gather, the more
Mm,
chance you're beating your opponent. Ultimately, if you can incorporate everything you've got from a
yeah,
musculature point of view and apply that to your opponent, you've got a better chance of winning.
yeah. It's
A
knowing,
lot of
yeah,
glutes, hip,
mm, mm,
core. You incorporate that all together quickly,
yeah.
you're going to win.
There was another thing that completely amazed me and blew me away, where it's literally where I'm looking at the table and then I'm looking down at the monitor for the stream. And by the time I've moved my eye from the table to the monitor, it's over. And it's just
Yeah,
instantaneous. And seeing big
yeah, that
guys
really
move
goes.
that,
That's 0 to 100.
yeah,
Oh,
done.
it's like a gunshot.
No, I think faster than a gunshot is the speed of light.
Yeah, I
It,
think I remember reading somewhere. I don't know if
mm,
it's true or not, but they said arm wrestling is the quickest sport in the world. But yeah, probably like excluding shooting sports and stuff
yeah.
like that, I would imagine. But yeah,
It's probably definitely the fastest combat sport in the world.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I
Absolutely
mean, no
incredible.
martial art is that quick. I mean, even a quick knockout in boxing
Yeah.
is way slower than an
No,
arm wrestling match.
I think you're talking like 2.7 or 2.3 seconds, like the fastest MMA knockout. There was that flying
Oh,
knee.
really? Yeah,
Yeah. So, but
yeah, yeah.
you still got a close distance. Here, you're right on top
No, exactly.
of one another. In
Yeah,
that,
an fast arm wrestling match can literally be over in that half second.
mm,
That's
and done.
done.
Yeah. And then the problem is you got to be back up again to do it. And watching
Yeah,
the going to the straps and just seeing how tight those straps are being put on and the load on that strap,
yeah. It's just
the load
you
on.
put those straps on a normal person, and they'll be crying. And
I got my one knee wrapped by Dipmar Wolf, the head of the IPF coaching. My one knee when
Ooh,
we were in Spain at a coaching workshop. I couldn't tolerate. Now I've got a pretty good pain threshold, I believe. I suppose as we
mm,
all do. But like no, I couldn't get through that. I was like, right, take it off, fine. And then you see some of the ladies, they're just strapped up and grinding out reps. Seeing the
yeah,
bruising
that's
and
crazy.
yeah. Hey, so we
Yeah,
talk.
that's one thing I don't miss, those tight knee wraps.
Oops, yeah.
Yes, those are painful,
No,
man.
okay. All right.
Yeah.
So are they worse than the strap on the hand?
No, they're worse than a strap. And
Okay, thank
I'll
goodness.
take a strap over a tight knee wrap. Just I remember that
Yeah,
those with that's one thing I do not miss. Yeah,
yeah.
those were sore. And
And then having to load that weight on in order just to get down. It's yeah,
yeah, just to crack your knees
yeah, yeah,
and a bench shirt as well. Yeah,
yeah.
and I used to do hip lifting back in the day. Those were damn sore as well.
No, that's yeah. You're walking around with bruises and pain for a lot of
Mm.
time
And it
after that.
pinches you like round your shoulder
Yeah,
and then round the back of your tricep.
you're just looking to. I mean, no. Let me rather not say it. Sort of burst a blood vessel. Send a
Mm.
scab off into your system. But no, that's fine.
Yeah.
We're talking about quite a lot of the intensity and the pain and we don't want to chase people away from the sport because just watching the athletes, everyone there was having so much fun. It was a fantastic vibe. What is it about arm wrestling that makes it so special for you?
Like I said, that combat component
Mm,
really does make it fun. I mean, everyone has a different style, different strengths, different weaknesses. People are quick, people are slower, people are more statically strong in certain positions. Um, and the fact that that you can incorporate just so much power in
mm,
that small pad makes it really fun. And the fact that it's also quick as well um, really does make it fun. You really do have to have your wits about you. If you have a bit of an off day and a sleeping there, you'll be leveled. And
yep.
with that competition starts, I mean, you'll be really strong. But if you get hit by even a guy who's a lot weaker than you,
Mm,
you'll get right through you.
yeah.
Um,
There's no way
so
you can
it's one
get
of
the
those things
brakes on.
you got to. I think you got to be. There's a lot of tactics in it.
Mm,
Obviously, you do need the underlying power. It is a strength sport, unavoidably.
mm,
Um, so just from that pure strength side, it is quite captivating. But no, I love it. It's just so dynamic and interesting. The way to apply leverage and different styles, and does because it's a martial art.
mm. At
Yeah, I
100%.
think a lot of
Yep.
people realize. Most people just think it's just like old school side
Mm,
pressure
mm.
bar arm wrestling. It's you need to be smart on that table, though.
Watching some of the guys coming up to the table, their foot positions, their placements, how they're
Mm,
locking their legs around the table, getting into position, and looking at what the
yeah,
referees are watching for. Absolutely, it's 100% a martial art, and it's, I suppose, it.
it is the top arm wrestlers. I mean, they're smart gents and
Mm,
very smart tacticians, and a lot of them are good at chess and like strategy games and stuff.
right.
Just coincidentally,
And watching,
like you need to
yeah,
be smart.
watching their opponent's movements, how they're walking, moving up to the table. Is there a little bit of
Mm.
faking, like,
Yeah, it becomes very instinctive
yeah,
when you grip up with a hand.
yeah.
And you just making all these small micro adjustments, and you're reading your opponent,
Mm,
looking where their shoulder position, where their elbow position is on the pad, or their center pad, or their side. Um, or are they looking to jump into a hook? Are they looking to
mhm,
top roll? Are they coming to a press? You're making all these micro little analyses and acting accordingly and reading that
mm,
so
mm.
that you got your best chance of winning ultimately.
And you're also making
It's
sure that you're not
incredibly
getting set up.
fascinating. Yeah, that you're falling for a trap
Mm,
or
mm,
yeah, it's incredibly fascinating.
sure. If we talk a little bit about
It's a
your
chess game.
a proper chess game and a checkers game all in one with strength.
Yeah, pretty. That's a good way of actually describing it. It's complicated yet really simple at the same time.
Yeah, sure. And on top of that, you're burning fuel all the time that you're wanting to conserve as much of as possible.
Plenty. Yeah.
Yeah. Can we chat a little bit about your journey in arm wrestling? How your sort of first competition? When did you decide that, hey, this is for me, something I want to do? And then how has your progression been? So what have the victories been like, and what did those mean to you?
I competed for the first time in October 2020. Um, I did quite well. I came and I beat quite a well-recognized guy on my first attempt. So people immediately were like, "Gee, who's this guy?"
Mm.
And also being like pretty much one of the only English people in arm wrestling, I also immediately stood out. Um, and then quite a few comps after that. Yeah, I tried to, especially in the early days, I
Mm.
tried to go every single comp just to get as much
Mm.
experience as possible. And I swiftly climbed up the ranks, beat quite a few guys. I think I got second at my first essays. Um,
Sure.
and then I won my next essays the year after. And yeah, a ton of comps, super matches, um, won some, lost some, but I kept climbing up and up until well, pretty much one of the top guys in the country, especially for my weight.
Right. And with that sort of international competition, what are the
Yeah, I did
options
the East
available?
versus
Yeah.
West qualifier,
Mm.
and I came third on that in the right. That was in 2023,
Mm.
and then I did Worlds last year. Yeah, that was tough. I think I got 17th out of 28th or something on my right. very, very high standard.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm cutting a weight class this year, so I think I'll be a lot more competitive under 90.
Okay. How did
Hopefully get a top 10 or a top 8.
Okay, fantastic. Where was Worlds last year?
It was in Moldova.
Okay, sure.
random, random country.
Yeah,
It's
that,
in Bulgaria this year.
yeah, okay. Nice. I hope it's going to be a warm time of year.
It's in September.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think it'll be
Like
like not too bad.
autumn, not too shabby.
Yeah, basically autumn. Yeah,
Oh, phenomenal. With the competition, and I think just again using powerlifting as an analogy, because that's what I understand. With you can have a pretty good idea as to how you're going to perform based on what you're
mm,
lifting, what the other athletes have lifted, particularly if
yeah,
you're up against more experienced athletes that are on the same sort of plateauing level as you, where there's not massive gains each year like with newer lifters. With an international, you sort of know where you're going to be, but how unpredictable is it within each event and within the competition?
yeah. The European standard is really high. We're certainly not on that standard in South Africa. I mean, we do have a top arm wrestler here who's featured a lot internationally, Terence Opperman.
Mm-hmm.
He's done really well. Won a whole stack of stuff, beaten a whole stack of guys for decades overseas. He's very well recognized and respected. But our normal standard compared to the world standard is chalk and cheese. They've got structures there that we do not,
Mm-hmm.
and their level of competing and stuff is incredibly high. They're also fortunate that they can compete with neighboring
Yeah.
countries. I mean, it's an hour, 2 hour, whatever train ride or flight or whatever it may be. So they've got a lot of accessible competition from a very young age. Whereas obviously we've pretty much just got South Africa here, and not that it's not growing or anything, but
Mm.
just the standard is not the same.
Right. And you find
Those
also the
guys are so
support
well oiled.
structures, right? You know,
Yeah, I mean those guys get paid if they get medals at Worlds.
right.
I mean you qualify to go to Worlds from a country like Kazakhstan, or they'll pay for your entire trip. It's
Absolutely.
funded.
Yeah. The,
Whereas here, there's nothing as of yet. I know there's stuff in the works, but you're still going to be footing that bill
mm.
out of your own pocket ultimately.
And unfortunately, probably for a while to come before there's that sponsorship and awareness.
Realistically,
When
yeah,
yeah.
realistically.
When you talk to people and you tell them that you do arm wrestling or you're a competitive and an international level arm wrestler, do they really have an understanding about the sport, or are you finding that you still have to explain what it is and how it works?
No, it's people. The exposure that arm wrestling's got recently it's actually quite astounding. I mean, most people know Devin Larratt, or they've seen
Mm-hmm.
some video. Um, he's obviously quite a big YouTuber, so people are very aware of arm wrestling. They
Awesome.
often know how people associate it, but the amount of times that slap fighting is synonymous with arm wrestling.
Yeah.
Jeez, if I got $100 for every time someone brought that up, I'd have a good few thousand. That's for sure. I don't know how it's associated, but people associate it.
It's interesting because we had a chat with South Africa's top slap fighter last year. It was great chatting to him just before he went off again back to the States. And I think it's two
Mm.
guys standing there and it's almost you got your referees, but there's no hold. There's no gripping hands in slap fighting.
No,
So and it's been very
well,
yeah.
that's tough. Eh? You got to be a special man to take a slap to the face like that.
No,
Yes.
no, and from some of those guys, when the guy's fingers are thicker than your forearm, it's
Yeah. No, exactly. You're getting hit by a bunch of pipes there.
yeah, and you want to keep your hearing in both ears. Now, listen, a very,
Yeah,
very,
preferably.
very special bunch of guys. How have you
Mm.
seen arm wrestling grow since you've been in the sport?
That's only grown a lot. It's a lot of people are interested in it. Obviously, as I said, like to get guys to stick, even once they have that initial interest and come to a practice, to get them to stay and compete. That's a different question. And so, like what did you say? Like the conversion rate is still, yeah, still I think has a lot to be desired, but there's certainly a lot of interest in arm wrestling. It's a tough one to get people to stick in. You've got to be a tough person to do arm wrestling and compete.
Right.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
And it's very competitive, and it's quick, and it's tough, and the pain, and you do have to be tough. It's not for a soft person. There are a lot of easier sports to do
So I mean,
than to arm wrestling.
yeah, quite an interesting point. I mean, if you are a parent, and how's this for a question? If you're a parent and you're thinking, okay, you've got kids that are maybe not as tough as you would like them to be, arm wrestling to me strikes me as a great sport for youth to start as a way to, one, understand how the world really works, that doesn't matter how bad you want it or if you feel you deserve it, because there's another person that's coming up against you. But to get involved in a combat sport that you may get injured, but it may not be, there's probably very unlikely for head injuries or traumatic head injuries and stuff that could really affect your quality of life long term. Would you say arm wrestling, is a good sport?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think it teaches you a lot of fundamental components of discipline and like mental fortitude and resilience. It certainly is a tough one, a tough pursuit, but I think it's a fantastic sport for a teenager to get involved in. Obviously, under the guidance and pupillage of someone who knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
But once they've learned those fundamentals and they understand how to pull safe, and they get into the weights that are complementary, obviously, to the arm wrestling, I think it's a fantastic sport. It teaches you a lot of grit, which I think some other sports, yeah, you might not get that to that degree. It'll certainly test your character, and it'll humble you. It'll humble you, and also not like maybe like a boxing where like, yeah, geez, you can get knocked out and really hurt. But your ego can get really, really battered.
And I don't think there's anything greater for a person to experience than the honesty of having their ego battered and taken down.
Every young man needs it.
Yeah.
In to some degree, whether that be in physical competition or the workplace or whatever, you need to be humble, or you'll eat humble pie somewhere else.
Yeah, and that's there's a American sharpshooter by the name of Brian Enos, and in Utah, and he said sport is about growth. It's the only thing that's available to us in daily life where we can truly challenge ourselves. So, meaning it's safe. You can't really challenge yourself in your family life and in your relationship with your partner or at work in your career. But sport, you can test and push and get hammered and understand that you can go to very dark places, but then getting out of that and coming out as who you really are and genuinely are is a wonderful foundation for your life. So we've got...
No, that's a fantastic analogy.
So we got strong little Ewok says Big Mac flame flame flame. That's on Instagram. So there we go. Cool. So
that's Wayne. That's Wayne Lauscher.
I think that's Wayne. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, no, Wayne well. Used to train a bit with him. And a couple other mates back in the day.
Oh, awesome. No, it's a good community. Speaking of community, how have you found the arm wrestling community versus the powerlifting community? And we've spoken a lot about that on this podcast. So I'm very grateful that you've had experience in both worlds.
Yeah, they're good communities. Yeah, also a lot of support. I've enjoyed being exposed to both communities. There's certainly interesting characters that you meet inevitably, but no, I've met a lot of good people, made a lot of friends, friends that I'll have for the rest of my life.
Awesome. How does someone get involved in the sport? How do you start?
Yeah, I think it would be to find your nearest club, wherever that may be. Um, Go to a good club, get some guidance. Hopefully, you're getting good pupillage there. Research as much as you can. Get a nice, solid training program. Ask questions, and come with an attitude to learn,
Yep.
and you'll progress well in the sport.
Tell us a little bit about your
Be
club
teachable.
and what it's been like coaching for you. I love that, by the way. Be
Yeah,
teachable. Mm. Mm.
my club is in Einstein. Our club's name is Cosmic Bush Pigs. We are.
Love it.
It's the Cosmic was adopted from Devin Larratt. He has this idea of cosmic punch, that you absorb energy in the universe through people via arm wrestling, and then we the hardiness of a bush pig. So
Right.
I've just combined those two. And I think it also encapsulates the fun components that we have in our club. We have a good laugh, have fun, enjoy it ultimately.
Epic. So are you guys on
And yeah,
Instagram?
I'm
People can
based in
find you there.
Brighton.
Yep.
I'm on Instagram, Big Mac Arm Wrestling.
Okay.
The club actually doesn't have an Instagram page, but we've got a big WhatsApp group. And anyone who's interested in arm wrestling,
Can do it. So while I've got you on,
you can just literally message me on Instagram. And I'll
okay,
add you to the group.
perfect. So I'm going to put that on now. So it's Big Bigmack. Is that correct?
Yeah,
And then all one word, no
yeah,
underscores.
yeah. Big Mac Arm Wrestling, all of one word. Yeah.
Okay. Don't think I've messed up the spelling on that too much, but there we go. So there it is, guys, for those looking out for to get started. Very, very cool. And I think it's just, yeah, it's a great sport. And I think you can do left and right? You don't have to worry about.
Yeah, two separate competitions. Yeah. You can pick your poison, do both, do one, whatever you want.
Awesome. Some of the questions that I like to ask our powerlifters, I'm going to start in arm wrestling by asking you. So it's 4 basic questions. Some of them are fun. You can be serious. You don't have to be serious about it. First one, what do you love about arm wrestling?
The combat component of it.
Okay. Combat. What drives you mad about arm wrestling?
Sure. Nothing really, if I'm honest, though.
Even
No.
from a
Well,
light-hearted
I wouldn't
point of
say
view.
mad.
Yeah,
Some
yeah,
of the pain and stuff
yeah.
can drive you a bit mad
Okay.
sometimes.
So if you could do it, but here's a question: would you do it without the pain? Was the
Yeah, that's a very good question.
uh,
I don't know. No, the pain makes it fun, I
yeah,
guess. And
and
I think we're all looking for that degree of punishment ultimately.
100%. I think to be an elite level combat artist, combat athlete, you have to have some kind of healthy relationship with pain and the understanding of what it
Yeah,
is and what it actually means.
100%.
Yeah. All right. What has arm wrestling given you?
Yeah, it's given me sure, a structure that keeps me disciplined. It's given me a lot of fun. Um, it's kept me in the straight and narrow in many regards in my life, and it's brought me a lot of joy ultimately.
Sure. Phenomenal. I love that answer. It's actually brought me, I've got another question I'm going to cut in here. One of the biggest challenges, and particularly we're looking at the youth, and even watching a TED talk by the U.S. Army General or Surgeon General, who was a general, talking about the Army's biggest challenge is femoral breaks during basic training. Because what they're finding is that the guys that are coming in, the young guys and girls that are coming in, are eating so badly when they're young. They're so sedentary when they're young that they don't have the bone density to carry their bodies through basic training, and they're ending up with
It's just interesting.
massive femoral breaks. And I stand corrected, but it's either around about $200,000 or $800,000 cost to the military to rehab each one of these soldiers, because the bones are shattering. So it's a huge
Yeah.
issue. So I think with arm
Gee, that's fascinating.
yeah,
Yeah.
there was a mind. I'll actually see if I can find the TED talk, and I'll share it with you on WhatsApp. Very, very interesting.
Thank you.
My thought around this is to operate at an elite level, and other than the mental aspect that arm wrestling is giving you. You can see I've done a lot of powerlifting one. Sorry, arm wrestling. um, it- does it lock you in? And just based on what you said in terms of keeping you on the straight and narrow, does it lock you into a love and an affection for the sport that will determine that, hey, I'm going to eat well, I'm going to train, I'm going to look after myself, I'm going to sleep, I'm going to hydrate, I'm going to do that, all these good things?
Mm. No, it definitely does. It does lock you in, especially when you compete and you've got a comp date. I've got X amount of days to tune up for this thing, be as strong as I can, and perform as well as I can on that day. It locks you in so many different regards in your life. I need to sleep well, I need to hydrate well, I need to be regular with my training, I need table time, I need to eat well. But it is such a positive spillover to the rest of your life.
Everything
It's,
that, yeah.
it's also so therapeutic, releases so much energy. That endorphin rush will never ever get old.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can attest to that as well.
100%. 100%. Sometimes it can become problematic where you're not, you're neglecting your recovery a little bit. So, yeah.
Yeah, I know for sure.
100%. It's quite funny. I see I have a good mate who has joined us. He's watching on Instagram. This is the cool thing with Instagram. You can see who's watching. He started out, he was a very good rugby player, played for one of the top Natal private schools, him and his brother, legendary rugby players. And a couple of years later, got involved in powerlifting with me, went on in his his third competition was Worlds in Sweden, which was great. He's dominating lifting. I mean, he's also training with Rodney, by the way, with Rodney and Carol, which is very cool. And he's just benching. Come on, Simon, let us know in the comments what you're benching. I don't know, it's like 260 or 280, or I think he's close to 300 now in the shirt. I think he should be getting into arm wrestling, because I think the one thing, it's a sense of community as well, that the sense that I get from arm wrestling. That you guys
definitely.
awesome.
It's quite hard to do the powerlifting and the arm wrestling at a high level together. Like, you will hurt your arms, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I don't think in my opinion, I just don't think it's possible. Something's going to take a dip. Your arms take an abnormal amount of strain with the arm wrestling.
But it's something that he could look at when he wants to. He's won Commonwealth. He's won most of the stuff.
If you're looking to branch out, or if you maybe have run your course with powerlifting, and you're looking for something that maybe doesn't smash your CNS so much, or you catch an injury or something, a knee injury, you can easily transition over into arm wrestling.
Okay.
Powerlifting, that power transitions well onto the table. You learn how to arm wrestle and fortify your hand and wrist, and you'll have access to a lot of power.
And he's probably the most humble person that you will ever meet. He's just a very, very special human being. So I think afterwards I'm going to put you guys in touch, and it might just be something for the future. Hey, cool. And the legendary Marley Daniels says, how's it, John?
Yeah, old fridge.
The fridge, absolutely.
The fridge, man, strong. I used to train with Marlon back in the day, Rodney as well.
Yeah, that's sure. Yes, you're getting a lot of history here. So also an absolutely wonderful guy. It's been great to see Marlon's progress in powerlifting over the last couple of years.
Yeah,
he's
still
really
strong.
Yeah, strong as can be, and shining, and also one of the nicest people that you can absolutely ever
definitely
meet. So the fourth question says, "Yep, my old training partner." There you go. One of the last question of the series. Who would you like to call out for us to chat to next? Doesn't necessarily have to be in arm wrestling, and if you don't want to call out anyone, live, we can chat about it off air. But it's always just a fun element. Anyone you think gets that deserves to get a little bit of exposure or more exposure, let me say that.
I don't know if you've had Terence Opperman on yet, but he is
Not
the
yet.
best arm wrestler in South Africa.
All right, awesome.
I'm sure I could arrange something for you. Yeah, he's a true legend,
It'd
true
be
strength sport
sure,
legend.
absolutely
One of the best strength sport legends in South Africa.
Sure. Thank you. We appreciate that. So we're looking forward to that. From your side, John, is there anything that you would like to share or talk about or mention about the sport?
Yeah, I'd encourage anyone who's interested to drop me a message and come into a practice. You might really enjoy it and get hooked. It is quite addictive.
100%. It's I'm going, but yeah, this is my challenge. That's my right wrist, and that's my left wrist bent. Too many injuries from martial arts, but maybe we can work around.
Yeah,
Maybe a broken wrist is not a bad
session.
thing. Huh?
Nice and tight.
Yeah, exactly. No one's bending anything.
Yeah, get into a position, you'll be good.
Yeah, don't neglect, don't underestimate the value of calcification.
That's funny.
So, what is the rest of the year looking like for you in terms of competition?
I've got a couple. Yeah, I've quite a few coming up. The Arnold Classic this weekend. Then I've got a super match next month. And there's an Andrika Scrut main event in July, and Worlds in September, and I'm sure I'll have a couple others in between. Try and compete as much as I can.
Epic. So we're going to be at Armdruk is Groot. We're live streaming that. And I think the international towards the end of the year. So looking forward to seeing you there and to chatting to you at the comp as well. You see, look, I'm getting bullied by Marlon here. He's going, come on, Nick, grow your guns. I don't have guns. I've got BB guns, maybe. Marlon's calf is bigger than my arm, Absolutely. So, really, Joe, we're very grateful for the time that you've shared and for coming on and agreeing to chat to us, doing it so quickly as well. So, thank you so much. Thank you for what you've shared. You're a phenomenal ambassador for the sport. And I hope that parents watching this and people watching this can understand that this is a sport that they should be getting involved in. And I think importantly, getting their kids involved in. Maybe you're not comfortable to get your kid in a ring and get them punched in the face. But arm wrestling, I think, is very close. We need combat sports to unpack who we truly are. And when we know that, then we can actually move forward in working on ourselves rather than just living under the delusion of what our egos tell us we are.
Well said.
Thank you. Marlon says all the best, John. He was very chuffed to have you on. I'm sure he's going to go back and watch this from the beginning. John Mack, thank you, man. I really appreciate it. I'm going to end the live stream now.
Mike.
Thank you. And I'll chat to you quickly off air. Awesome. Thanks, dude. And